space that you do it in, and with the level of expertise that you bring. It's fantastic.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So, Mark, the most obvious question right now I'm gonna ask first: what actually brought you into the political realm?
Yeah, and so I appreciate you starting with that question and just wanted to know a little bit more. But I tell you, as we go through our lives, everything in my mind is political, whether it's big P or little p. Political, whether you're at the job, relationships,
Mm,
everything is political. But what really brings me into this work is a heart for people, a heart for public service. I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a public servant. I think politicians want a title, and public servants want to do the work.
mm,
It's hard work. It's a lot of heavy lifting. You can't do it alone. But I would say what really brought me in. I mean, there's a long backstory, but essentially is my heart for the people and the way I was raised, and knowing that service is the rent that we pay for our space on this
mm,
planet.
mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yes, yes. Write that down, A Money.
I already got that I already got that one memorized
Look,
right there.
I know
one
that's
of
right.
many that Mr. Jerrell will probably drop for us. One jewel of many that he'll drop for us tonight.
Yes, sir.
So District 4, because of course, if people don't know, rather, in regards to Mecklenburg County and the various districts and such, what makes to you District 4 so unique that you wanted to say, you know what, they need someone for the people. They need Mark Jerrell.
Great question. So I'll answer it this way. My predecessor served for a really long time, about 18 years. He served and did a great job of service. And when I felt the call to run, make a long story short, it probably wasn't. I didn't really understand how God was going to move and to work this, just because the factors were certainly stacked against me. Although I had worked in politics as a campaign manager and consulting on various campaigns, I never thought that I was actually going to run for office. If I did, obviously I knew it would be the county commission because of the work that we do on the commission, related to human services. And that's really what's in my wheelhouse and my heart. So when I looked at the district, though, to be honest with you, it didn't make sense for a younger black man to be running in this district. It's the most diverse district in all of Mecklenburg County by far. It's not predominantly African American. On paper, if I was consulting someone, I would tell them not to do it. But certain things happened that I believe was divine intervention that led to me, answering the call to run in the district. And, God blessed us to be able to put forth a platform that folks gravitated to and decided that, they would give me an opportunity to prove myself and to earn their trust and earn their respect.
It says a lot. It says a real lot. Melissa.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know how basically we are whenever we have guests such as this. I know you've got a burning question, and you usually tend to get to the meat of the matter. What you got?
Well, I have two, because reading, first of all, watching Mr. Jerrell and then pulling information about him, he is very evident that his faith base is the base of his and the foundation of what he does and how he lives. And I commend him for the fact that it just can't be separated. So with that being said, I have a two-part question. Number one, do you find that sometimes public servant, not politician, have some types of issues. It has some type of conflict sometimes with what you believe versus what you have signed up to do as a duty. And I love the write up about your family. So when Mr. Jerrell punches out, is he dad, husband, or does that commissioner jacket stay on?
I love that. Thank you for that question. I'll answer the second part first. Yeah, no, the commissioner has no pull at the house at all. Yeah, my wife sees to that one. Yeah, there's no commissioner in this house. There's the husband and the dad, and all the responsibilities that come with that. But I certainly and thank you so much for bringing up my family, because while I get the opportunity to do these types of this type of engagement throughout the community, and I have certain opportunities, I'm under no illusion that I'm not in this work alone. My wife is with me every step of the way. Frankly, my wife does all the heavy lifting in our family. I couldn't do what she does with our girls. I wouldn't want to do it, to be honest with you. It's a lot. And so, we are certainly it's a team effort, and the sacrifice that it takes, for my girls as well. This is a work that takes me away from my family a lot more than what I would, what I would like at times. Although I love it, make a lot of sacrifices, and my family makes a lot of sacrifices. So thank you for bringing that up, because again, I could not do any of this without them, and I want to be abundantly clear on that. As it relates to the first part of the question, again, just a great question. I think one of the things, my faith certainly guides me. My faith allows a level of perspective and conscience that helps me navigate some difficult circumstances. But I've also decided to leverage my faith walk in a way that ensures that I don't place judgment on anyone or any group. That I try to really look at it from not a religious standpoint, but a spiritual standpoint, to be guided as I try to make decisions, the best decisions for people. And then I also realize that people are entitled to make different choices than what I would make.
Right.
And not for me to judge those choices, but to make sure that everybody has a level playing field in this community, no matter what choices that they've made. And so that's the way I've chosen to leverage my faith. But like you said, it's certainly with me every step of the way and all my decisions. And without it, I wouldn't be here.
That's deep right there, my friend. So I think this is your second term, correct?
I just started my second term. It's a real blessing. I just started my second term, so it's going into year 3.
Yes, congratulations with that.
Yes,
certainly congratulations. Job well done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would think, well, reflecting back on it, Mark, probably about 8 years ago, even though the political realm may not have had as much decorum and morality, it seemed like it's certainly thrown out the window right now during these times. So my next question for you is how difficult is it to navigate and kind of come together as far as different views with your constituent, with your colleagues that you work with? Do you find it more difficult in this particular climate?
On the local level here, we have an all Democratic board, but that doesn't mean we all think alike. I mean, there's varying degrees of our focus and passion and areas where we're not a monolith by any stretch. One of the things that I found though is that whether I was elected or not, but I think relationship building is a key trait that people can have that would really enhance their lives. The ability to build relationships, and I think one of the ways that you build relationships is being able to give people the bandwidth to express their ideas and hear them out before we go shooting them down, and try to understand where they're coming from. And when you do that, usually in return, they allow you to express your thoughts. One of the things that I found with my colleagues, and they're all great, and they are super smart and sharp, and I hope you guys have the opportunity to speak to some of them, and they will drop some real nuggets on you as well. But the great thing about it is when you go into these things with a spirit of collaboration and also keeping the people first, ahead of ego, and a lot of times, listen, we're human beings, and ego can jump out in front of you, right? You have to grab that thing and pull it back and refocus. See, there's nothing wrong with, kind of getting off track a little bit, but then you have to recalibrate and correct immediately and make sure that where you're coming from has nothing to do with ego. It has nothing with wanting to win the battle, right? I have to get my point across. No, what we have to do is deliver the best outcomes for this community is what we have to do. So Mark has to take himself out of these equations as we grow up wanting to be, I have to win and this person has to lose. No, the community has to win. And so with that, it causes us to have to make sure that we have a dialogue and that we are being respectful. We are listening intently. We're doing our research and allowing data and information and education to really dictate where we fall on any decision.
Well said.
Very well said. Very well said. So piggybacking off what Adrian was saying as well in regards to the current climate, what has your constituents expressed, in light of COVID? And then, of course, now with, a new presidency, has there been a greater expectation of you in your office because of these things? What have they echoed to you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I have a really diverse constituency. My district runs from all of Uptown and South End.
Oh. Hold one moment, everyone. We just seem like we had some technical difficulty in which Mark has dropped off, but he will be right back, very shortly.
Yes.
Thank y'all for joining us on At the Round Table podcast show.
We have some family, some viewers that shining in, and while we're waiting for Mark to come back.
Oh,
Mr. Connor. Hey, Mr. Connor.
Hey,
yeah, thank you for joining us on At the Round Table. Oh,
yeah. This is one of the fun parts about being live again.
Being live and being virtual on top of that. Hey, but you know what? This is how we are. We are a real show because real things happen, right?
That's it.
That's right.
There he is. What's going on?
That's right.
Hey, listen, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Is that telling us we're supposed to be in Bible study on Wednesday night, huh?
Oh, so we're in trouble.
All right.
You know where you?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, guys. I apologize.
That's all right.
But
no, you're fine.
What was the last question we were leading off with?
We were talking about, your constituency, your constituents rather. You expressed as far as how diverse and how wide they are from Uptown to the South End, and as far as what have they echoed to you in light of recent events, from COVID to recently the presidency, the things that are changing right now?
Yeah, a great question. So one of my constituents, like I said, are really diverse. I have the most diverse district by far in the county. One of the things that they've been concerned about, obviously, is the impact of COVID, not only as it relates to health, but as it relates to environment, as it relates to work and jobs and education and all the uncertainty that's come with it has been front and center. People have wanted to get back and to have the ability to recreate and to come together, and it's been really tough. One of the things that I'm really focused on, and I'll be addressing this tomorrow night in a community conversation, but is around mental health. Is something I'm really concerned about. And my constituents seem to be there, and I think my constituents are one of the great things I can say about my district, which has been really interesting, is that a lot of my more affluent communities have really wanted to and actively engage in conversations around race and equity. And I thought that has been that's been something that's been really good. I think those are the conversations that we have as we move through this pandemic.
Good points. Very good points.
That's very interesting because I think that right now people have become more aware of who they are and what their needs are, and we get caught up in a lot of routine and in a lot of I'm just making it. When you start to understand, when that's taken away from you, you realize it wasn't a trap, a stronghold. You can do something and be something different or more. And in light of everything that has happened, I also feel like, our citizens have said, you know what, it's time to stop smoke screening with the mirrors and closed blinds and drapes. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to see it. We have to come together. And I mean, let's face it, money does make the world go around. And so when we are financially equitable, we have the equality and equity, education, knowledge, and just an open mind, we will grow as a person. So I think that that's great that they've brought that to you to say, hey, we want to have that engagement. So with that, how much does the district, the people in the district, dictate what comes across the table of the board? I know there's certain things that you're people of service, you're a public service person, so you're going to have to look at the people, you're going to have to look at your people that you're around, but do they really have influence on what takes priority when it's time for you guys to implement different changes, different programs, address different issues?
Oh, I love that question. People definitely have the ability to influence what our priorities are, but I don't think they take advantage of it like they should. I don't think that people really recognize that their power, and that's sad when you're in a democracy, right? And so I think that we have to use platforms such as y'all's to educate and let people know that they do have power. But with the power comes a great responsibility. I think, we have a lot of people that are advocating, which I love it, and there are activists out here, but advocating or activism without education does not lead to the outcomes, right? So you got a lot of people that want to lead, but they don't want to educate themselves around how you can solve issues and how you can influence issues and policy and all of those things of that nature. And so the challenge for us is to make sure that we are educating ourselves, that we understand what our power is, but then also with that power, what the responsibility is.
Yeah, that's great. I would even add that it could be dangerous to be an advocate or an activist without education, because you can literally cause an uproar and you can influence the wrong attitude, wrong atmosphere. You can influence people's feelings, emotions. You can really set off someone if they are having mental issues. And I think that it can also be dangerous as well.
Agreed.
Mm. So one of the things you mentioned, Mark, was as far as with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm gonna quiz y'all later on as far as where that term came from, if I remember. But with the, and I think you mentioned too in your dialogue in regards to the grassroots, individuals that are activists, individuals that are coming and becoming leadership. Have you seen more of them form more of a relationship and a partnership with the city of Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, as well as, the board, in order to make some things happen and not just be this is my own little kingdom, this is what I'm gonna do versus what y'all are doing? Have you seen more of that in your district as well as outside?
And I'll tell you, I'm really glad you brought up the grassroots because, the grassroots are typically people that look like us. They've been working in the field for a long time. They are passionate. They don't get the resources. They don't get the support, but they are about doing the work. They're about, if they see a problem, they go fix it. They don't have to strategize all night. They don't have to pontificate and have a whole lot of hoopla around moving forward and engaging, right? So they see a problem, they go fix it. So I have been able to see that, particularly over, since I've been in elected office. One of the things, though, that I've done is, I've made an overt attempt to make sure that I'm connecting and staying connected to the grassroots community and bringing them into spaces like the government center and making sure that there is a voice at the table. Now, it doesn't always work out, but I certainly say that I've been blessed with relationships with people that, are leaders and, they're leaders and they lead grassroots organizations and have been doing great work in this community. And I'm proud of the fact that I've been able to connect with, quite a few and to, allow them to engage in spaces where they have not previously been.
Very good. Cool. And shouts out to Angie Bell. She just came on. There's many individuals joining us: Robert Connor, Jeremiah Holt, as well as Angie Bell. And I want to definitely point out Angie Bell because we just had her recently as a guest. And this is kind of like a flip on it. And I would love to get your impression on it as well, Mark, because Angie does, as we mentioned, grassroots work, see a problem, attack it. Her current project, heartfelt project for over 8 years, Lamp Loves Project, helping with the homeless community, her homies. She was on and she was talking about that. What has been your perception as well as the commissioner's perception as well in regards to the homeless situation here in Charlotte?
Well, let me just speak for myself. I don't want to speak for any of the board members because I don't think that would be fair. But, for myself, well, generally speaking, I know that all of my board members have a heart for our most vulnerable and our homeless. It's a heartbreaking situation. But again, I think one of the things that most of us realize is that, this situation is not a result of COVID. The homelessness issue has been here for, since all of us were born. And it's a very complex situation. There's different levels of homelessness, right? You've got your chronic homelessness. You've got people that are displaced for whatever reason in between jobs or, different things of that nature. You have people that need permanent supportive housing. You have some people that just need transitional housing. But overall, I think everyone should be able to have an opportunity to have a roof over their heads, but it's complex, and it's more than just providing housing. There are people that need wraparound services. There are mental health issues that a lot of people don't understand. And then also people have choices. Believe it or not, there are some people that do not want to be housed, in the sense that we understand housing. Some people have made a choice, and there's reasons why those choices are made. The shelters are not optimal places for people to be all the time. It's not the place where you want to be. They can be dangerous for some folks. Some folks have had some terrible experiences in our shelter system, not just our shelter system here in Mecklenburg County, but just the shelter system nationwide.
Right.
And so, people have pets, or they have, a spouse that they want to continue to be with and don't want to be separated from. Some people have alcohol issues that, they can't be in a dry space. And so there are a lot of complexities that go into this, that those that work in this, that do this work, I think have a really good understanding of a lot of the complexities that government is facing. And then there needs to be a realization that government does not have an endless money tree for us, where we could just put billions and billions of dollars, particularly at the local level, just towards homelessness. Just like you have people that are homeless advocates, you have people that are advocates for parks and rec, you have affordable housing, you have environment, you have health and human services. So you have all of these groups that think that their priority is number one, and we don't have a money tree at the government center. The only things that we have to be able to pay for these priorities are taxes and fees. That's it. We don't do fish fries. We don't do the GoFundMe. So it can be complex as you're trying to navigate these priorities and try to fund them.
I'm glad that you said that, because being a common person, when your passion is a priority, it's easy to look to the left and the right and say, oh, well, they built that, or, oh, they have this statue or this monument that they invested in that could have went towards homeless, that could have went towards more parks. And you have to really just lay it down that a lot of the funding comes from the taxes, the fees, the actual processings, or the payments for the processes to be a county, to be a city. And so, there's no federal truck coming with money saying, okay, well, you guys can have this. District 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, you guys get this. You guys have to use the budget that's allowed from the money that's come in. And so I'm glad that you pointed that out so people can truly understand how that works.
So true. So Mark, getting you off the hot seat for a minute. Question: since becoming a commissioner, you have the opportunity of meeting a lot of people in the city. What has been your most gratifying thing that you have done since you've become commissioner?
He always does this, Mr. Jerrell. He takes my question. He always takes my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That is funny. I'll tell you, I've been blessed to have some successes relative to the things that I set out to accomplish. But I tell you, one of the most gratifying things that I've done was there's a poster right behind me over my left shoulder where it says "Community Give Back." I don't know if you see that, but that was an event in my district at a space that in an area where my kids in a particular neighborhood have stumbled over dead bodies going to our recreation center. one of the things that we were able to do was go into that community and give them the opportunity for resources that was much needed. And it wasn't me, it wasn't Mark Jerrell. It was a ton of people, grassroots people that, they did all the heavy lifting for the event. Mm-hmm. People like Brandon Chuck Brown, Garcia Nelson, and Rodney McGill, Tijuana Brown, Miko Chosen, these folks that were supporting me, Tisha Boyd with Promise Youth Development. But going into the community, and it's funny, I was just telling somebody the other day that as we were doing the event, I had the opportunity to get a bunch of coats. Mm-hmm. And where I got them from, they were not, they weren't cleaned coats. You could tell they were sitting for a while, and I was nervous. I remember I was really nervous about putting them out because I didn't want to be offensive. I couldn't afford to get all of them clean. I mean, it was hundreds of coats, and I couldn't afford to get them all cleaned. And I was just like, oh God, I don't want to be offensive to people. Mm. But be that as it may, I made the decision. I'm going to put them out. Maybe nobody will even, see them or grab them. But it was shocking to me that all the coats were gone at the end of the event. In the condition that they were in, and but it was just so gratifying to be able to provide where there's a need, to be able to fill a gap. It was really overwhelming. It was right before Thanksgiving, and it was really overwhelming. But that's one of the highlights. There's other things, but that was a true highlight of my first term.
Gotcha.
I think one of the things that I'm so impressed with you is that you are an example of building bridges versus silos. And I think that speaks volumes, and it is shown executed in the way that you handle and conduct your position in and out of the office. So how do you feel your role is influencing your children? What do they see other than daddy?
Oh, wow. Thank you for saying that. First of all, I appreciate you saying that. I take great pride in service and this work. I take it seriously. One of the things that, for my kids, interestingly enough, I don't want my kids to take this path that I've taken, to be honest with you. If I could have a moment of transparency, I'm always, and we're always going to instill in them the need for public service, for sure. But I would tell you, like, my stomach stays in knots. Like, I go to bed, I don't really have like super duper restful nights because it's always seems like there's work left undone. And your mind is constantly racing. It's very difficult to shut off. And I suspect, people, whether they're elected or not, when you're in this business of service, you always have this feeling of, did I do enough? Did I, did I miss an email? Did I, is it's just, it can be a lot of pressure that you put on yourself because you want to serve honorably. For my children, I think that they see, dad works really hard outside of this. I have a full-time job, so this is my other full-time job, and I think that they see that dad works hard and he tries to be a person of his word and honor his commitments. And I hope that some of the things that, some of the takeaways that they get from me, as well as, all of the things that my wife instills that in them on a daily basis, and plus our extended friends and family as well. So I'm grateful and thankful for all the people that are in their lives, and I'm trying to give them the bandwidth to be the people that they need to be. I want them to their lives to be shaped, and and I want them to grow however it is that they want to grow. I want them to experience everything that life has to offer. And my job is to make sure that I give them enough information to make informed decisions so that they can make the best decisions for their lives.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Now, you did mention the children, but you also mentioned your wife, and I know she has played a large part in what you do, especially at the end of the day. We as men, when we close the day, we just need that sounding board, that rock. So I know you definitely need to definitely share with us her involvement.
Yeah. My wife Whitney is, certainly my biggest supporter by far, and she's the one who's made the most sacrifices for me to put me in a position to be able to serve. And that's why I say this is a team effort. It's not just Mark. Mark gets to do these interviews and I get to talk. And she is so focused on making a great life for the girls and for myself. That's where her passion lies. But, she's an accomplished person, in and of herself, graduate of UNCC, real estate agent, entrepreneur, businesswoman. And so, she brings, a tremendous amount of skills. She tells me the things, not that I want to hear, but the things I need to know. And you know how those conversations can go sometimes. Certainly, everybody wants to hear how great they are, but there are times where she's had to tell me, "Hey, don't do that one again." I'm just gonna let you know, and she's the one that checks me, and keeps me grounded, and also make sure that I'm handling my business. My wife is, frankly, my wife said you can run around the county and you can do whatever you're doing. I don't want a bill to be late though. You're gonna take care of home. You're gonna handle your responsibility as well. I should. And so, but again, I can't, when I say that she's been my biggest supporter, she certainly has. And again, when I talk about the heavy lifting and the majority of sacrifices, I mean, she's made them for sure.
Spoken like a true queen of the house.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. Without question. There's no doubt about it, because I could be a bit much with everything I have going on and ripping and running and in and out and on call after call after call, and you do need somebody at some point to slow you down and say, hey, hold up, let's recalibrate. Let's get our minds right.
And what do you do for your downtime? What do you do for yourself? And then what do you and your family like to do when the commissioner jacket is off? What are some of the things that you like to do?
Yeah, well, I like to read. I'll turn on some music. When I'm reading, it's typically going to be jazz. Some music. Definitely love to get out and play some golf when I can. Haven't been able to play in a long time, but that's something I love. I love the outdoors. We go to the park. We have our favorite park. We go to our parks in the district and hang out, go for long walks on greenways and the trails, and a lot of times I'll sit out in the backyard with the girls and listen to them scream, and how they scream for everything. So I listen to them scream and run around and do that. And I just like having close family and friends around me. where we can just laugh and joke and have a good time. So that's really, I mean, nothing, we love vacation. We love the beach for sure. We definitely love the beach. And so we make sure we get down, a few times a year, but that's really how we do it. It's just normal family things that, I want to instill and be that example for the girls of, what family is all about.
All right. Good question. Good answer. All right, Mark. Now feel free to answer this question by saying it's too soon, Adrian. It's too soon. If you choose to.
He's already giving you a disclaimer.
We're sorry. I'll just apologize to my brother right now. Sorry.
I got it.
So, although you are still fairly new in your role, and it's still a lot of work for it to be done as commissioner right now, do you have any further aspirations of moving up that political tree? Share it with us right now, Mark.
Too soon,
Too
Adrian.
soon?
No, I'm just kidding. No, you know what? Let me start off by saying this, right? So anytime we have, whenever I have the opportunity to speak on shows just like yours, I really think it's really important to be transparent. And I think part of service is really giving yourself and giving that your honest self. I don't know what God has for me, Adrian. I really don't. I'm not really sure. There's some other things that I want to be able to accomplish as a commissioner. And if I feel like God is leading me in a space where I think I can add value on behalf of the people, I'm open to it. My hesitancy is that this work takes a lot of time, right? It takes a lot of time. Just like anything that we do that you're passionate about and you want to do well. And so, I'm not closed off to it, but I'm always going to be dictated not by the office or the title, but by what the needs of the community are. And if I think that my skill set will allow me to add value and make a difference.
Well said. To be continued.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like the way he phrased that. That was perfect. Definitely perfect.
Yeah, because Adrian was trying.
He was
trying. But Mr. Jerrell is smarter than that.
Because it could have been like, I plead the fifth or whatever, but now he was like very articulate with it. So, yeah.
I think that we would all understand and would not be disappointed if you were to explore another step on the level.
Thank you for saying
just
that.
Saying. Just saying.
Just putting it out there. Just saying.
That means a lot, though. Thank you, guys.
Definitely. So, family, we just want to let everyone know we are on right now with Mecklenburg Board of County Commissioner District 4, Mark Jerrell. He is sharing with us a lot, especially within his district and just behind the scenes with, what goes on. A lot of times I think many people have misconceptions about the Board of County Commission and what they do. And actually everyone who is in the position, quote unquote, to serve us. And I think it's very important. I think it's an honor and a blessing for you to come on here and actually give us, things that you're seeing, things that you're doing, things that you notice with your people in your district and just in general. So definitely appreciate that. And y'all ask any questions that you want. He's an open book, like he's mentioned several times. He's transparent. And I think, that's very important in the culture that we're currently in right now.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Jerrell, can you give, I know it's hard. Can you just give a nutshell version of some people? Because I know sometimes being living in a county, in a different district, again, there's these misconceptions of what it is that the Board of Commissioners do. What is it that they have? They may look at something from a television show and they're thinking this is what you guys do, but can you kind of give an overall of what your responsibility is to the district?
Yeah, sure. So, the county commission, we're responsible for everything as it relates to your quality of life, essentially as it relates to social services, public health, mental health, the environment, parks and rec. We fund education, which is a huge part of our budget. All of those elements that I just named are part of the priorities that we have to fund as well. We set the property tax rate, and we set the budget as well. We have a $1.9 billion budget here in Mecklenburg County. Probably be a little bit higher this year, probably coming in about $2 billion, I would suspect, a little bit more. So, we have a significant budget that we work with. I'm happy to say that there are 7 women leading the board and only 2 men, which gives us a unique perspective and a great lens to have so many women leading in this community. Our county manager is female. And so I think particularly during this time, that's really important. And we have quite a few deputy county managers who are African American, which I think is important as well. And in our community, we're blessed to have a lot of African Americans that are in leadership positions. I think the challenge for us is to what do we do in these positions? How do we make a difference for those who have been marginalized and disproportionately impacted on almost every quality of life indicator that there is relative to African Americans? And so I think that's one of our major challenges that we have to grapple with. I mean, it's not good enough just to have African Americans in positions, but we certainly have to change the outcomes.
I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people look at if someone looks like them, period. They feel that, oh, well, they're going to gravitate to whatever the desire is of that same person or that same, person that looks alike. And when you're saying that you are service, you do the public. The public is everything and everyone involved. And so, it's great to have an African-American man, woman on the board, but please understand that they have a duty to do to be responsible for the whole picture, the whole community, not just African Americans. And sometimes you get that pressure as well because of you looking like someone else or being where they can identify or relate.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, people understand that, but I think the expectation, and rightfully so, is that as African Americans, we're going to speak up and speak out, and we're not going to necessarily just co-sign on policies and make decisions that we know that adversely impact our community. I think there are some unique challenges that we have experienced and faced as African Americans that it's our duty when we're elected. Frankly, one of the things that becomes crystal clear for me anyway, and I don't want to speak for every African-American elected official, but for me, there's an extra sense of responsibility. Like there are certain things that my white counterparts do not have to take into consideration as they navigate their office, but I do, just because of the circumstance of where my people find themselves in. When I make decisions, I'm not just thinking about my girls. Right? I'm thinking about your children and your children's children. And what does life for African Americans look like, not just in 2021, but 2041 and 2061 and 2081 in this community? And so, there is an extra sense of responsibility because I know what the outcomes show relative to health, relative to the wealth gap. And a ton of other inequalities that unfortunately, right, wrong, or indifferent, as an African American elected official, I have to bring a lens to that. And I also have to navigate it smartly. I have to find a way to make sure the majority hears me, but the minority also understands that I'm advocating on their behalf. And just because I'm in a room where I might be in the minority, that I'm still speaking up. What I say in public is what I say behind closed doors. That's very important to me. Regardless who is in that room, I need to be able to do that. And you have to be able to understand that, when Mark Jerrell is in a room, he will speak up, but he'll represent us, hopefully, in a way that you would be proud.
Man, I tell you, Adrian, I see what you're saying.
Man.
We'll talk. Yeah. Yes. The time will come.
Yes. Yes.
We
so
are.
I know.
Go ahead, A Money.
Go ahead, Mel. You good?
No, I was just gonna say we are at that 5-minute mark. So I didn't know if we had any of our viewers that had questions, and if we had any other ones to get in. And I do want Mr. Jerrell to provide the website that for people to join in, even if they're not in District 4, to be able to, when he's doing his talks and town halls, to be able to support him and listen, because we are still all a community, regardless of what district that you're assigned, you're in.
That's right. Yeah, go to Mark for the People. Is Mark the number 4, the people spelled out.com. And you can also find me on social media, Twitter at Mark for the People. I also have Mark at Hippolitics, not Mark at, but it's at Hippolitics. Cool politics, the OLITIX, or at Mark the number 4 the People. Also on Facebook as well. So Instagram is Mark for the People. I try to put out a lot of information so that, again, I think one of the things that people have was, just like a lack of knowledge, because there's a ton of things that we do at the county, but they just didn't know about it. And I try to put that out there. So please scroll the pages, and you'll hopefully you'll find something that'll be valuable.
Okay, so we had a question.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quick question. Terry just asked, she said, just a quick one-liner. She understands, but what does the county commissioner do?
Right. So the county commissioner is responsible for funding education, priorities that's related to quality of life, like health and human services, Department of Social Services, mental health, environment, parks and rec. We set the tax rate, the property tax rate, and we established the county budget and set the priorities. And I'm glad to say our number 1 priority is to reduce racial disparities.
Yeah, that's been a very big push in the county as of late, and I think that's been very important, not only for the constituents, but also for those that are behind the scenes working within the county. I think that's been a very great initiative. So thank y'all for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
She said thank you very much. All right.
Welcome very much.
Any money?
Oh, and real quickly before the time slips away from us, I know that you had mentioned earlier about the Mental Health and Wellness Summit taking place tomorrow. It looks like free for all who registers. Can you just give us a quick synopsis on what that is entailing?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and I'll be quick. So one of the things I'm really concerned about through this pandemic is the trauma and the stress that people are going through. I mean, imagine, not knowing, you've lost your job, or, you've been, your income has been impacted. You're thinking about rent and all these things that add stress to our lives. And I think we have got to talk about mental health. I think we've got to fund mental health. We have to make sure that people have access to mental health services, not only for themselves individually, but their families. So tomorrow, we want to have a discussion. I want to hear from people. I want to understand what they've been going through. I want the experts to be able to help address, give tips and tricks, and let them know how they can access services and resources that are available.
Very good.
Yes.
Like that. Well, we have people popping in there watching. Sorry, y'all. I'm telling you this time.
Late.
Free time. Y'all want to cook the dinner first and then come. Let's
Gotta cook
pop
the dinner and watch, family. You
Yeah,
can't
there you
pop
go.
at 7. You know we're over at 7.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Well, y'all, once again, it's that time in which, you know, we hate it, but unfortunately, you know, we've got to do it. But definitely thank you, Mark, Jerrell, District 4 County Commissioner, for joining us this evening on At the Roundtable Podcast Show. Any closing thoughts or words you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, one, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate what you all are doing, and anything that I can do to support your effort. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I would just tell, you know, your listeners and the viewers, one thing real quick is that, you know, a lot of us have started out in circumstances that may not have been ideal. And that goes across the spectrum. But where we are right now is a culmination of the choices that we've made. And so I know that regardless of the mistakes that we've made and where we are in life, we certainly can overcorrect, course correct, and get on a new path and forgive yourself, you know, give yourself grace. And I'll just end with that. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow. That was for me. That was just for me.
Just for you.
It was just for me. That was so on point for right now, for where I am. So I appreciate Mr. Jerrell for coming in, you know, being so transparent and so gracious, and giving us a moment of your busy schedule. I know you have it, and just sharing with us and our family and our viewers. And Adrian, thank you so much for having him on the radar to say, hey, we need to have him on the show. I know it took a while to get you here, but I hope that this isn't your last time coming to speak to us at the roundtable.
Whenever you guys call, I'll be here.
All right.
So that's what I'm talking
Heard
about.
Adrian.
Oh yeah. We got it recorded.
I love it.
And my parting words with Mark is that it's very rare that you meet genuine people. Your generosity, as Melissa was saying, and Carrie, your transparency and just your truth shows through. So with that being said, keep doing what you're doing. It's needed out here in this world today, and it's greatly appreciated.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you for saying that, my brother. I appreciate it.
All right, family. Well, y'all heard it first here on At the Roundtable Podcast Show. It's the People's Podcast. If you get a chance, definitely share this. We'll be editing it, of course, to prepare it for our YouTube channel. Yes, we've got a YouTube channel. And our podcast shows that we currently have on Spotify and other outlets. So thank y'all for joining us this evening on At the Roundtable Podcast Show. We'll do it again. I get to say Pitbull in the Dress, Melissa Bartlett, Adrian A. Money Biddle, our special guest, Mark Jerrell, and I'm that guy, Kerry Digsby. We'll see y'all once again. Hey, and definitely, if you have any more questions for Mark, definitely check him out at mark4thepeople.com. Thank y'all once again. Y'all be blessed.